Slamdy, hey go, Slamdy, hey, you already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, episode 609 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is June 19th, 2024. Padres, they finally get a win on the road trip. Their one win on this road trip. They avoid being swept by the Phillies, and instead of dropping to 4 games under 500, now they are 2 games under 500. And that could end up being significant in this Padres season. So we'll see, obviously, what happens months down the road. But there's a lot to talk about. And I feel like a lot of the fan interest or a lot of the fan discussion right now amongst us is about some comments that have been made, not necessarily everything that's going on the field. But obviously, what matters the most is what's happening on the field. So I'm going to start with that. But yes, we're going to get into Manny Machado, and we can get a little bit into Mike Shildt if you guys want me to as well. I had John Schaefer on the show yesterday. If you missed that, you can go check that out, where we talked about Shildt and some of the comments and his approach talking to the media, some of the stuff that he has said this year. We went over that yesterday. Talked about Manny as well. But let's just get into what happened in this series. Let's start with today, obviously, since that game just happened. Padres win this one 5-2. Jackson Merrill, I've said this time and time again, but he has impressed me so much this year. He has earned one of the key roles on this team by his play. And I think that, I don't know if he would say this, he probably wouldn't. He'd probably try to be humble about it. But I think that he is one of the Padres' leaders on this team as a rookie. Now, I'm not saying vocal, although it seems like he is a vocal guy. I don't know if he would stand up in a team meeting and start yelling at veterans. But in terms of leader by example, by mentality and doing whatever it takes to win, and all he cares about is winning, at least that's what it seems like as for me, a fan watching the Padres. I absolutely love that about him. And I think that's what makes him one of the leaders of this team. You look at who are the leaders of this team? Manny, obviously, because it's Manny Machado. Some may not like that, but that's a fact. He is looked at as the big dog, the leader of this team, right? Then there's Tatis, obviously. Bogarts, I think Padres players would mention in that, but I don't think Padres fans, I don't think Bogarts is the first guy that we think about. I would say Profar with the play every day, do whatever it takes to help the team win, that sort of thing. Kind of like a vibes guy as well. And then you look on the pitching side with Cronenworth is someone I should mention as well. More like a lead by example too. He's not someone that seems to be this loud voice guy, but I think he's stepped up a little bit in a leadership role as he has progressed in his Padres tenure here. And then there's Musgrove. Darvish is, highly respected in this team. So those are the guys that I would point to. But for Merrill to be, I think fairly put into that group, I think that just shows how impressive he has been to start off his Padres tenure. And yeah, let's give him his respect. He should be in the Padres, or not the Padres, the whole league, the National League Rookie of the Year race. They're going to give love to Yamamoto's hurt, but they'll give love to him. They'll give love to Shota Imanaga. I'm probably forget Paul Skeens. I think that's probably someone that's going to get a lot of run, and he's been pitching well, no doubt about that. But someone that plays every day, and even if he doesn't win, I know Padres fans, we're going to respect the heck out of him, and we're going to applaud the year that he is having. So I want to point that out. Today, he has that homer that made it 1-0. That was his third home run on the road trip when this Padres offense has not been able to do enough. He has been able to come through for the most part. He's been struggling a little bit with some breaking pitches, especially on this road trip from what I'm seeing. Well, it's over now, obviously, but we'll see how he adjusts. Remember, he had to adjust, after he got off to that hot start. He wasn't continuing that, and then he's adjusted, and he's playing better since then, too. So I have faith that he is going to adjust. Harper, man, I wish he was a Padre because I love that dude. I love watching that guy play baseball. His swing when he connects, and of course it was like a reminder of what happened obviously in the NLCS because of where the location it was to left center off of Waldron today. But he homers once and then he homered again, which thankfully the Padres had gotten off to a 5-1 lead after the Higgy triple. So Arraez singled, made it 2-1 in the 7th. In the 8th, Higgy with the triple clears the bases, makes it 5-1, and then Bryce had the homer, made it 5-2, and that was it. And since, I'm going to get to the Manny comments, but since Manny thinks that nobody talks about when he hustles, I'm trying to find in this article here. Trying to find. Here it is. And I'll talk about it more, but I just wanted to bring this point up because Manny did say this, and I do want to praise him for hustling today. Manny said, there are going to be times where you're going to run it out to get the extra base hit and score a run like I did Monday, which nobody talks about. That's what kind of ticks me off a little bit. People who watch us play every single day can have an opinion, but when you just catch a glimpse and you just see a highlight, you don't have the full story. So that's what Manny was saying to Mark Feinsand the other day in Philly. And so nobody talks about it. Well, I'm talking about it. I'll praise you when you hustle, Manny. Yeah, because that was big what he did today. In that 8th inning, he runs out that ball and he ends up getting on base instead of just a grounder to third. This was the situation. It reminded us of the New York Mets, right? Where it wasn't a hard hit ball to third. And the Mets game, Manny was jogging down the line, blowing the bubble. Today, he was sprinting to first base. And guess what? He beats it out. I don't care if he barely beat it out, he beat it out. That's what running down the line can do. It can grab an extra base runner. It's not an out in the inning. And then Higgy comes up later, gets a pitch to hit, doesn't smash it, but puts it in play to center. Brandon Marsh takes a gamble and it gets past him. And there you go. The Padres, they get a comfortable lead, which was big because it was 2-1 at that point before Higgy came through. And Harper ends up homering later in the game. And that would have been a tie game if Higgy didn't come through in that spot. If Manny wasn't running, I forget, was there 2 outs in that situation? If Manny wasn't running, if there was 2 outs, then the inning would have been over and it wouldn't have been 5-1 and it would have been a tie game and maybe we're still playing right now. So there's an effect there. And remember that New York Mets game, there was 1 out. There was 1 out when Manny did that. But still, if Manny didn't hustle today and that would have been 2 outs, Merrill pops up, we don't get to Higgy for him to make it 5-1 in that situation. So these little things add up. They're big. And so I think that's, fans, we have a valid gripe with Manny when he doesn't hustle 100% every single time, which he says that he does. He said that he does. He said that to Mark Feinsand, which we'll get into that here in a little bit. But yeah, I'll praise Manny for hustling today. But it was a similar situation in that Mets series where it's a 1-run game. It was a close game, ground ball to third, and the third baseman botched it. Here today, Bohm, I don't think he even botched it. He just couldn't get it there and to first on time when Manny was sprinting down the line. And so those little things do add up. They matter. I think Mike Shildt, if there's anyone in baseball that knows that, he knows that. So I hope that he got into Manny's ear if he has I don't know how else to say it, if he has the balls to do it. Because it does seem like, I hope Shildt does, and I hope someone in that coaching staff does. If it's not Shildt, I hope Musgrove's willing to do it or one of the other leaders is willing to do it. But I mean, for those that are going to sit here and say there's no one in the organization that is willing to go up to Manny and tell him, hey, you got to start hustling more. No one can say anything to him. I mean, I'm not in there, so I don't want to go that far, but it seems like that if he continues to do this, So anyway, we'll get back to Manny in a little bit. But today, 5-2 win. The offense, it was good enough today. And I sent out this tweet earlier today about Luis Arraez and how he's been struggling numbers-wise since he got that shoulder injury in Kansas City. I'm pulling up the exact numbers here. So this was entering today, last 14 games since the shoulder injury in Kansas City. Remember, he dove at second base, went to reach back for it, got hurt there. I think he missed that one Angels game. Then he came back. And immediately when he came back, it was like, oh, doesn't seem the same. So 14 games, 14 hits and 61 at-bats, a 230 average, 254 on base percentage. And I do want to be fair. Like, this road trip, it's actually, I've seen Arraez have some power. Like, he's hitting the ball pretty far for Arraez standards, to left field, the opposite way. Had the double today, off the wall. I think he hit a ball hard in his first at bat in the first inning. So I'm going to give him credit. You know, average is not everything. Sometimes you hit the ball hard and it's hit right at someone. Sometimes you don't hit the ball hard and you find a bunch of holes. And Arraez has done that a lot in his career. And props to him. He got his 100th hit on the season today. But just results-based business, he wasn't getting the job done since that shoulder injury. So I hope it seems like, you know, if you're watching Arraez every day like I am, it seems like he's good. It doesn't. I'm not seeing, oh man, he's clearly hurting, which is good. It's just something that I pointed out there, and the tweet worked because Arraez came through today. So that's all that matters there. Matt Waldron today, that's obviously a big story. 7 innings, 1 earned run, just 2 walks, 6 punch outs. Did give up the homer to Bryce, but I'm totally fine with him giving up a solo home run to Bryce Harper if he goes 7 innings and that's all he gives up. I will take that every single time out. I will take that every time out from any pitcher on the Padres. His last 8 outings have been tremendous. If we're going into that first outing of those 8 outings with Matt Waldron expectations, which weren't very high. If we're being honest, not very high because he wasn't using the knuckleball as much. He was not, it didn't seem like he was fully embracing, like, I'm a knuckleball pitcher. He throws other pitches, but, and I've said this multiple times already this season, during this stretch of starts, he was like, I'm a pitcher that throws a knuckleball. He wasn't fully embracing it, but when that knuckleball usage goes up and he's throwing it in the zone and it's dancing all over the place, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if you're preparing against Waldron, you're trying to envision you having success or trying to envision like what that pitch is going to look like with you in the box. I know there's these like virtual reality stuff right now where you can you can face a pitcher that you're going to be facing. I think that's some technology that's out there, and maybe batters try to do that, but it's probably different. Like, you can't simulate the knuckleball. It's one thing like a 98 mile per hour fastball off a machine in the cage, or even though they have breaking balls on machines, but do they have knuckleballs on those machines? It's just different. And so he has been great. His last 8 starts, 7 innings, 1 earned run. I'm going from most recent, so today, to that 8 starts ago. 7 innings, 1 earned run, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 6 1/3, 1 earned run, 7 innings, no runs, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 2/3, 1 earned run, 5 1/3, 2 earned runs. So if you notice, he was going, around 5 innings, getting into the 6th. But then, like, most recently, the last 5 outings, he's been going at least 6. He's been working into the 7th or going 7 in all of those outings. So, he's being effective, and he's earning more trust from Shildt and Niebla and the Padres because they're willing to put him out there through 7 innings. They're not saying, nope, let's get him out of here. Okay, he hasn't given up a lot of damage. Let's just go to the bullpen. No, they're sticking with them. They have the confidence in him, and what a story. I think my case, Matt Waldron, for the All-Star game just continues to grow. At that time that I did that, when was that? A few starts ago, where I was like, maybe we should start thinking about this. I was not saying he should be right then and there. I know that he's going to have to pitch better, not pitch better than he is now, but he's going to have to be consistent like this through when the selections happen. But I'm just saying, like, if that happens and the All-Star game does not matter, it's about entertainment. Do you want people just facing some other reliever that has pitches that every other pitcher in baseball has? Or do you want to see the best hitters in the American League go up against Matt Waldron's knuckleball? And maybe all Waldron throws in that game is knuckleballs for a pure entertainment aspect. I don't know. It's just something that I think about. There's always pitchers that pull out because they either started like the day or a couple days before, so they can't throw, or the teams don't let them throw. And so maybe he gets on as a replacement if he continues to pitch like this, because his ERA, what is it at now? 3.46. It keeps going down. I'm not saying it's going to be sub 2 by the All-Star break, but it keeps going down. At one point, it was what, in the fives probably? Definitely in the fours. I'm trying to look up his game logs here. At one point, it was 4.74, 5.82. Yeah, at one point it was 5.82. And then since then, it's been dropping 5.49, 5, 4.86, 4.26, 3.98, 3.76, 3.66. And then today, after today's start, 104 pitches, 3.46 ERA. So super happy for Matt Waldron. Could you pull up video or a podcast or a video, something, a clip where maybe I doubted Matt Waldron? I probably did. I don't remember me saying that. But I wasn't like going into the season saying, oh, Matt Waldron's going to go be an ace for this Padres rotation. That's how he's pitching right now. That's how it is. He came in fighting for a rotation spot. There were injuries. Now, he was the fifth starter, I think, the whole time, right? But there were injuries. So that pretty much was like, yep, he's definitely in this rotation. And not just that, but he's going to have to step up as well. And that is what he has done. The whole Patrick Mahomes thing was cool. So I love that he's getting that recognition, you know. Speaking of recognition, Jurickson Profar, right, leading the outfielders in the NL All-Star first ballot or the first voting update. His son Kyrie, with that video that they made, the promo to vote Profar into the All-Star game, that's pretty cool. I posted that on Twitter or on X. Just look up at Talking Friars and you'll see it if you don't follow me. But yeah, like Profar, talk about recognition. He should be recognized for what he is doing this year. And especially when the National League field, it's not like it's a bunch of stars that should get in over Jurickson Profar. And the guy's earned it. He's earned it, Anything else that stands out from today? Jeremiah Estrada, yeah, gave up the homer to Harper, but it seems like he's back. I mean, at least the strikeouts. The strikeouts are there. Last night had a few strikeouts. Tonight had a few strikeouts. Or today. No walks. His ERA sub 3. And then Suarez came back today. Good to see. Got the save. Didn't give up any hits. Didn't give up any base runners. Got a strikeout. His ERA is 1.17 even after what happened last night, which we'll get into now, where the Phillies won 4-3. And I wasn't, like I said in my post-game reaction last night, I wasn't super mad at Robert Suarez. I was more pissed off at Peralta. And you could say the offense too, but Peralta, because you can't give up a bomb there in that spot. And Suarez, it's not like it was a bunch of hard hit balls off of Suarez. Bryson Stott, that ball was low and in, and he took it opposite field somehow on, I think it was 99, low and in. That's a little bit luck. I don't think Stott was trying to do that. And then the Castellanos walk-off, that ball wasn't hit hard. And it literally found like the few feet of grass in between Tatis and the line to make it a fair ball for the Phillies to go win that game. So that's baseball. As Manny says, that's just going to happen sometimes. You're not going to, Suarez, as good as he has been, he's not going to save every game. That was his first blown save, I think, of the year. I'm going to give him some slack there. If we're going to get mad at anything, Wandy, but like the offense, I guess. But Aaron Nola was on the mound. Some might say, well, Ben, I'm tired of tipping my cap. That's cool. We don't have to tip our cap to Sean Manaea or to Jose Quintana with the Mets. Someone like that. Or like Graham Ashcraft last year with the Reds, right? When the Padres were losing last year in Cincy. Not saying that. But I'm fine with tipping my cap some nights when Aaron Nola's on the mound. I think that's fair. And if you disagree, then we'll agree to disagree. I can say that I'd like to see better pitch selection from some Padres hitters. If it's two strikes, it's two strikes. But there's been some times where it's a breaking ball down in the zone, and some pitches are nasty. Nola throws, he's nasty. But there's some pitches where, and it's easy for me sitting on the couch, but I'm not in that box. I'm just giving my thoughts as a Padres fan. It's easy for me to say sitting here, but I'm going to say it. Like, there's some pitches where it's like, why are you swinging at that pitch? Did you go in there predetermining, like, yep, I'm swinging at this pitch regardless of where it is? I am in hack mode. You know, sometimes it feels like that, but probably players would laugh at me when I say that because I'm not in there in those meetings and I'm not facing that guy. But again, all I can do is react as a fan. But Nola, in the Padres, they did ultimately. I mean, when you score 3 runs off of Nola, I hope that's a good sign to go win that game. Michael King, he went 4 2/3. I wish he would have been able to go longer, but he still did his job. 1 earned run. In terms of earned runs, he did his job, struck out 6. I wish that he wouldn't have walked 3, obviously. Want to, keep that pitch count lower so he could go a little bit longer. But the bullpen, for the most part, did its job. Again, Suarez, I'm not mad at. Peralta, yeah, don't give up a homer there. I think it was Schwarber, which made it 3-2, and then the Phillies were able to, come back there and win it in the 9th inning. That happened so quick. But yeah, I'm not super irritated with last night's loss. I wasn't like going and expecting the Padres to, oh yeah, they're gonna go definitely win this game. I'm happy that they were able to win the Rangers Suarez game today. I thought that the series opener performance, that's what really sucked. I mean, to get blown out, that's where it becomes, super. It's frustrating when you lose anyway, but in any game, but it's really frustrating when you get blown out after just getting swept by the Mets. And then the Shildt comments, obviously, that just, makes us more irritated. Sorry, just checking social media real quick. Just because there's some times where quotes come out. I did listen to Shildt post game. He didn't really say anything today. It was more of like, how good has Jackson Merrill been? And he's a baller and all that. So last night, so that was Tatis where he didn't play, right? He has the quad injury. He's been dealing with it, not just for weeks, but for like 8, 9 weeks. I think it was from Dennis Lynn in The Athletic this morning that Tatis has been dealing with that since like the 3rd week of April. So it's been a long time. It's not like it's been a few weeks. It's been more than that. When Kevin said weeks, I was like, okay, well, not that long. No, he's been dealing with it for a while. So I don't know. There was a time earlier this year, right, where some of you questioned, I questioned, is Tatis hurt? Because you were seeing him kind of hobble around a little bit, not be himself out there when he's running. And he mentioned this as well. He hasn't been stealing a bunch of bases. And so he's kind of had to be limited so that he can be out there on the field because we need Fernando. Just like I think we're going to need Manny if we want to go where we want to be. And we're going to need the big guy. We'll see what happens with Bogaerts. I hope Bogaerts is able to come back healthy. Maybe that can give his wrist some time off, and then he'll come back really healthy, and he'll be able to go on a run like he did at points last year when he was healthy, right? I know that was his shoulder that he's coming back from now, but last year it was the wrist. He got the cortisone shot with the wrist, comes back, plays well. I think he played well at the end of the year too. He played well at the beginning of the year when he was healthy, and there was no like a lot of innings on him or on that wrist. So cross my fingers there, right? But yeah, like with Tatis, so he doesn't play yesterday. He doesn't start yesterday. He played the 9th inning. And on my post game reaction last night, and I still have that viewpoint, why was he in the game last night in the 9th inning? Shildt could say defense, but I mean, you're giving him a day off. Give him the day off. Don't put him in the field if you know it's a quad injury. It's not like it's a shoulder injury or something like it's a quad. So you put him out there in the field, he's going to be running in the field. You're risking him sprinting like he did yesterday and then hurting it more. Doesn't seem like there's a problem. He played today. Seemed like he was fine. He was sprinting today down the line. So I'm not super worried about it, but I'm just saying, like, I would not have put Tatis out there in right field. I get it, like, if you want your best defense out there, and that's why, but I mean, Robert Suarez is on the mound. You just hope that the ball's not hit down the line to David Peralta. And it was hit down the line, and Tatis still didn't get it. So, I just wouldn't have done that, but I'm glad that nothing happened. It doesn't seem like there's anything wrong, super wrong, and this is something that Tatis is just gonna have to deal with. I mean, I put out a tweet earlier today, and you could look at the positive side, the negative side of this Padres team so far. If you want to look at the positive view, there's Tatis playing injured, Manny playing injured, Profar playing injured, Bogarts, Musgrove, Darvish are on the IL, and yet the Padres are still in the postseason hunt. And they just played what 19 game stretch. 16 of those were against bad sub 500 teams, and the Padres, they couldn't capitalize on it, and yet they're still in the postseason hunt. Or you could say like the same stuff and look at it negatively and say, well, Tatis is injured, Manny's injured, Profar's injured, Arraez, who knows? Bogarts, Musgrove, Darvish on the IL. 3 5-game losing streaks. Dylan Cease has been a little bit rocky there. There's a bunch of home runs being allowed by this Padres team. Went 9-10 in a stretch where the Royals were the only good team the Padres played. Haven't won more than 4 in a row. They were just on a big losing streak. They were just on a 8-game road losing streak. And they're not in a postseason spot with a mediocre National League. So you could look at it positively, you could look at it negatively. It's very easy, to look at it negatively. And I know there's a lot of Padres fans out there that are looking at it negatively. And I'm frustrated by it, but I'm not looking at it fully negative at this point. I'm looking at it as, well, it seems like Darvish is going to come back soon, which hopefully will help. I don't want to give up on Musgrove. That's just not who I am. Manny, he's searching, and I don't want to say I have the most optimism among all Padres fans on Manny Machado being like 2022 Manny Machado, but he is caring. I think that's pretty evident with the quotes that we saw this week. Tatis, I'm not seeing a huge issue with the injury that he has. Profar, he's playing really well. I'm not seeing a huge issue with the knee injury that he's battling, There's a good back end of the bullpen that we have. Dylan Cease, there's the talent there. Michael King is pitching well. Matt Waldron is pitching well. So if we can get frontline guys like Darvish and Musgrove, we'll see about Musgrove, but Darvish especially to come back and to pitch well, pitch like a frontline starter, this rotation will look better. And we could be in a better spot, and we could find ourselves over 500. Arraez is someone that I also want to point to. Like Merrill, he's performing well. Arraez, the results, I would think the hits are going to get back to coming. I know it's weird for us to be kind of scrutinizing a guy that is still hitting 319 after today's game. But the results recently, since that shoulder thing in Kansas City, the results haven't been up to that level in terms of average, because what is the one thing Arraez is known for most? It's batting average, and it hasn't been there. But that's not going to last the entire year, I wouldn't think. I would think more reinforcements are coming, because I don't think AJ Preller is just going to sit there and just, this is the team. So, yeah, it's hope. It's easy to look at this negatively. And, yeah, I'm frustrated for sure. But what I will say is at least it's June 19th. And it's not September. And there's no doubt that there's a lot of guys in there that care about getting this thing back, steering this ship back in the right direction. And we just got to hope, really. But if we want to get into the frustration, we can definitely get into the frustration, and part of that was Monday. Padres losing 9-2 to the Phillies in game one. Schwarber had 2 hits. Trey Turner had 2 hits in his return off the IL. Harper had 2 hits. Alec Boehm had 3 hits. Castellanos had 2 hits. Marsh had 2 hits. Their 9-hitter, Marchand, never heard of him before this series. He had 4 hits. He went 4 for 4, drove in a couple runs, scored 2 runs. So it was just a big butt kicking of the Padres by the Phillies. Schwarber with the homer, you know, right off the bat, it's like, oh, here we go. Schwarber is a Padre killer. Alec Boehm with the homer. Schwarber with the second homer of the game in the 6th made it 8-1. And yeah, I mean, that really was that. Randy Vasquez doesn't go through 5 innings. And this is where, like, you're feeling the absence of Musgrove. You're feeling the absence of Darvish with Major, with Vasquez. They weren't going to be pitching well every time out. We were going to feel those absences. So Randy Vasquez, he's starting in place of Musgrove. Major's in place of Darvish. So Major's going to get, what, one more outing? Because Darvish actually, his rehab outing is, I think, today in Fort Wayne. So we'll see how he comes out of that. The goal is for him to go 75 pitches. Hopefully all goes well there. But yeah, 6 earned runs from Vasquez on Monday. Give up a couple bombs. Padres offense hasn't been performing well. That's not a good recipe for success. I mean, that's that. And Sanchez on the other side for the Phillies goes 7 innings and gives up 1 run. So there's not a whole lot to add from this game. It was just butt kicking. That's just what it was. Game was over in 2.5 hours. And that's that. You flush it really, and you just try to move on. What really got to people right was the post-game comments from Shildt, where after the game, he says, like, well, isn't this pretty much the first time that we've been out of a game, right? All season. And it's like, no, that's factually wrong. There's the Yankees, there's the Marlins, there's a couple times against the Mets where, sure, you could say you went in it because you were fighting back after Manny and Shildt got ejected, but then it wasn't close after that. He was just factually wrong. And then when you're in the middle of this bad losing streak, road losing streak as well, you're under 500, you're not in a playoff spot, and you come in and you want to be super positive. It's one thing for a fan like me to be positive, but the fans hear from the manager. We don't want to hear the manager say, well, what I do want to not go unnoticed is the hustle of our highest paid player, the leader, the captain of the team. I want to bring up his hustle when he didn't do it a few nights ago. I want to bring it up, and I'm going to mention the double play that he grounded into to end the game about how he hustled on that play. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear the positives about that. And it's okay for you to mention, like, yeah, he's battling through this ailment. There's the elbow, there's the hip flexor, and he's playing. Like, look at that. Look at Manny. I feel like that's more of something to bring up pregame than to bring up postgame when you just got blown out by the Phillies. He guaranteed the Padres. He didn't say the word guarantee, but he did guarantee the Padres that they will be making the postseason. They will be playing in October. So, I mean, that's one of those where it's like, yeah, well, what else is he going to say? I want him to have confidence. I'm not saying that he's supposed to bash the Padres, after a blowout. I'm not saying that that's all he's supposed to do. But I think it's just the overpraising of Padres players. That's what has gotten to Padres fans. And that's what's annoying. Because it sometimes feels like to some that Mike Shildt thinks that we're stupid. And we're just going to listen to everything that he says. And yep, everything is perfect. Everything's fine. Well, sorry, we're fans. And we're reactionary. And we're in the middle of a losing streak. We're under 500. We're not in a playoff spot. And so, no, we're not just going to go along with you praising, Manny for running down the line. That's not something that Manny should be getting praised for by his manager in a post-game presser when you just got blown out. if you're the captain of the team, you should lead by example by doing that. You know, like what he did today. I'm praising Manny right now for the hustle that he had today, but that's what he should be doing. The problem is when he doesn't do it in a one-run game the other night, and then he says that he hustles, he gives his all every single time. And it's like, well, what do you mean? Do you mean you give 100% every single time in terms of you get up out of bed and you go play? Like that 100%? Or do you mean you give 100% running down the line in a situation that you should be running harder down the line? And you shouldn't be pulling up before first base, in my opinion. Do you mean it that way? Because if you do, you're lying. That's not the truth. So, what else did he say? I'll get to Manny, but I was talking about Shildt. Oh yeah, that was something that I don't think went over well either. Talking about the defense, how great the defense was when they got blown out the other night. Defense was a virtual highlight reel. Okay, you could praise the defense for, a couple seconds, but then move on. He went on for 3 minutes about having zero long-term concern about the Padres. And I can pull it up here. Hold on one second.
Yeah, great question. I appreciate it. Long-term zero. I have no concern about this club at all. I have complete confidence. This too shall pass. We're in a situation where today was the first game that's really gotten away from us in almost all season.
That's
right?
not accurate.
Right, we're and I have the privilege of seeing how this club goes about it, how they compete, their heart, their preparation, all the things. We're in a stretch now where we're not getting it done. But now I don't want to say that there's no level of disappointment or frustration. That's two different buckets, right? Long-term concern, none, zero. I know we're going to end up right where we want to end up, and that is in October. Right now, yeah, we've got it, to your point. Starting pitching, we haven't been able to get deep in games. We weren't able to hold them there today. And, we weren't able to put together some consistent at-bats. But, one of that optimistic point of view is a couple of things. Look at the defense we played today. Look at the defense we played over the last
This is where
3 games
fans
in New York.
get mad.
Today was, almost a virtual highlight reel. I've had to run a cutoff and relay. A lot of different things we were able to do. Crony making plays, even, DP in the 9th inning. When I see guys laying their heart out there, regardless of circumstances, it says a lot about the club. We're going to have moments like this.
Mike, we get it. Like, he said this about his team multiple times this year. We know that, there's some ballers on this team, but we don't want to hear that after getting blown out.
Just are. Again, don't love them. Got to spin out of it. Got to figure it out. I get all that. Good news is this group and I have that experience, and we'll figure it out. We're playing a good club, and we've got to be a little better consistently. In some cases, a lot better consistently. The other thing that was really encouraging tonight, that's a great example that I don't want it to go unnoticed, was Manny. We talk about effort level and that's appropriate. We're all under question. But I've taken the stance as far as this is a guy that's shown up with an ailment that's real, a soft tissue, situation that, he's trying to monitor, and has gone out there and played. Today, yesterday I talked to him after we got in here at the hotel. Like, how did you feel? Actually, I talked to him after we both got ejected. So that was a little time from bonding. He's like, man, it's the best I've felt. I feel like me again. And then we went and saw 2 great examples. One, it's a ball through the middle, Turner can't get to, busts it out of the box. He's in a position to go to second, hustles into second, sets us up for a run. And then the last at bat, again, 9-2 game. Turner makes a great play on him, really nice play, nice swing, and he's getting down the line, giving the kind of effort we want. So those are all positive things that I want to make sure we
All right, that's yeah. He wanted to make sure to highlight those. But again, and I said this with John yesterday on the show, it's just something that I think Padres fans we don't want to hear, and Shildt maybe doesn't care. And he can say whatever he wants, but then we're going to react to it. Padres fans don't want to hear that. I don't think we feel like Manny has to be praised for running down the line. And I feel like he was doing that to protect him from what happened on Friday, or because Shildt heard about the frustration of what happened on Friday. And he did have the backhand compliment to Manny about like how, yeah, it's understandable. People talking about the effort level, and that's appropriate. We're all under question, but this is a guy that has showed up with an ailment. It's real, blah, blah, blah. So kind of like a backhanded compliment. I don't think he was that happy probably with Manny not hustling down the line on Friday, but he probably also sympathizes, and I do too, with what Manny is going through. I just also feel like if you're on the field, Manny, then you're open to criticism. If you're on the field, you're open to praise as well. And I'm going to praise him when he deserves praise, and I'll criticize when he deserves criticism. I think I'm fair. I don't go overboard. I think I'm fair to like every Padre player. Could be wrong, but I think I am. But yeah, that was just a sucky night, sucky first two nights. I mean, because you get blown out game one, you have a lead in game two, and then you lose it. Got the win today, but I mean, a 1-5 road trip sucks. Sucks. Another sad series. All right. I want to take a break, and then I'm going to get to the whole Manny Machado stuff because he had some comments this week that I'm going to get into. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right, so let's start off with the hustle part of all this, because there's the hustle part, there's the why is he not performing well enough at the plate, his swings, missing at pitches that are in the middle of the zone, and we'll get to that. But Mark Feinsand, MLB.com, he sat down with Manny, an exclusive conversation is what Mark Feinsand says here, and talks about Manny's hustle, asks some questions about his hustle, and if you read the article, which just go MLB.com or look up Manny Machado, Mark Feinsand, and you'll probably see it. It'll come up right there. It's about effort level, and Feinsand writes here, Machado's effort level, which was brought into question during his free agent process during the 18-19 offseason, hasn't been an issue during his 6-season stint in San Diego. Right there, I disagree with that. It hasn't been an issue. It's been an issue. Maybe it hasn't been an issue nationally because he was fine. There was no headline. He was playing in New York. Let's remember, he was playing in New York when this happened. Social media, obviously, it can blow up. There's the camera, right? The solo shot, not just of the play, but of Manny literally running down the line, blowing bubble. So it attracts a lot of attention. But to say it hasn't been an issue, maybe it hasn't been an issue internally, but amongst Padres fans, I think it's been an issue before. Not saying all the time, but it has been an issue. Anyway, Machado says about what other people think. It's not my problem what they think. Everyone has an opinion. And that's totally fair. Yep, it's not Manny's problem what people think. And I don't think that players should care about, to a certain degree, what fans think. I don't think that you should talk bad about fans. I'm not like advocating players to do that and just say whatever you want. But for a player, it is a long season. And so I imagine if you're a player and you look at everything that's said about you every night when you get home from the game, it's going to be a long season for you. And so, yeah, you probably shouldn't look at social media very much. because people are going to say things. There was something I saw on social media this week about some I don't even know if you can consider this person a Padre fan that says this, but there was someone that said something like, I'd rather see Manny die than him play for the Padres or something. Like, come on. That is way too far. That's someone that doesn't have a face to their picture on social media. So we should move past it. But that's just something that shouldn't be out there, period. So, like, yeah, players don't look at it. It's not your problem what we think. You know, we're fans. We're going to react to it. But I think what you should care about is the clubhouse. And he says this here, like what he cares about is what people in the clubhouse think of him. Manny said, I said what I said. This is about the Johnny Hustle comments. It's fair. I can't take that back. Obviously, it was misinterpreted, and people still take it out of context and take it overboard. It's probably going to continue, but I have no regrets. I continue to play, continue to grow, and get better at different things in life and get better at baseball. For me, it's a gift and a curse. I think he's talking about being Manny. I've been blessed to have the opportunity to be a star in this game and be a person who can make impact around the game. So cameras are always around and they capture every moment. People these days just want to get likes and clicks, get whatever on social media for their own personal satisfaction. I really don't know why it keeps getting brought up, but for me, it's what the guys in here see. That's what really counts. And he's correct. What matters is, does he have respect? Does he have the respect of his teammates, coaching staff, right? The people in the building. That's what does matter the most. He is totally spot on for that. But when he says, I really don't know why it keeps getting brought up, it's because of Friday. I think it was Friday against the Mets. That's part of why it gets brought up. If he was hitting 300 and he had a 900 OPS, would we still be talking about it? Would it get brought up as much? Probably not. We'd talk about it. Maybe it would matter more what the Padres record is than how Manny is personally doing. I don't know. But I don't think we would talk about it as much. So I think it's his performance not living up to the contract right now for this year, his performance this year and last year. And also because it's not like he's sprinting in every right situation or, running a little bit harder. He does bring it a little bit on himself. And then Manny says here, people think I'm a speedster, like I'm Ha-Seong Kim or Ellie De La Cruz. First off, Manny, no one says that. Who has ever said that you're Ellie De La Cruz? I have not seen that. Anyway, I weigh 230 pounds. I've never been a fast runner in my entire career. I wish I had that speed because I would be a different player, but I don't. I give my 100% every single time. It might not look like people want it to look like, but that's not who I am. And what he means by that's not who I am, he's not saying like, I just don't hustle. That's not who I am. He's saying I'm not Ellie De La Cruz. I'm not Ha-Seong Kim. I don't have that speed. And he's right. But to say I give my 100% every single time, I wonder what he means by that. Does he mean, do you sprint in every right situation down the line every time? Because the answer is no to that. Does he do it sometimes? Yes. And I'm going to praise him when he does do it. But does he do it every single time? 100% every single time in the fan interpretation? The answer is no to that. So there's going to be fans that are going to laugh at that quote because they're like, we watch you every day, Manny. And that's not the case. Let's see. Manny, or no, that was Shildt. I'm trying to find Manny here. Okay. He's talking about his hip flexor injury, I believe. He took 4 days off, obviously, suffered it on June 5th, was never going to go on the IL. He says here, anybody else would have gone on the IL. Something has to be broken for me not to play. My 60 or 70% is 100 for a lot of people in this game. I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything, but I know what my ability can do. There are going to be times where you're going to run it out and to get the extra base and score a run like I did Monday, which nobody talks about. Well, I talk about it. That's what kind of ticks me off a little bit, Manny says. People who watch us play every single day can have an opinion. Like me, like us, you that are watching, listening to this. But when you just catch a glimpse and you just see a highlight, you don't have the full story. And that's totally fair. That is, I totally understand. I think it was a Mets fan who posted that video of Manny jogging down the line, and it had the two camera angles. And there were people that don't watch the Padres every day that were making assumptions and didn't know that Manny was playing hurt. Now, I still think he should have ran down the line a little bit harder. I'm not saying you have to sprint. I know he's hurt, but he could have given a little bit more of an effort. If you're giving this much effort just a couple days later, you know? Anyway, but what he says there, that is totally fair. People that just parachute in, yeah, don't give a take on Manny about, oh, he's still the same Manny. Don't give the take on that because you're not watching. You don't know the circumstances around it. So, yeah, don't. And we could say that about other topics in sports as well. But just keeping it on the Padres here, yeah, I don't like that either. So, Manny, that is totally fair there. And then the last quote here that he says, there are times when you have to grind through it and your body will tell you what your 100% is. You give what you can every single day. And at the end of the day, we're all going to pick each other up. Shildt emphasizes that as long as you're giving that 100% effort, that's all we can ask for. Like Manny did today. That's what I saw today, was that he did give that. And so, yeah, that's great. So that's what Manny said about effort. He had other quotes to Dennis Lin, pretty much saying what he said to Mark Feinsand about everyone has their own opinion. Pretty much like, I don't care about what their opinion is. And that's Manny. He's going to be honest with you. You may not like everything that he says. You may not like all of the quotes, but I respect what Manny says and the viewpoint that he is coming from. There's some things that I'll disagree on him with, but I think there's a lot of things there that he said that was fair. I just wish that there were more times where he did hustle down the line in those, ground ball to third base like that Friday night. But he's pissed off. He cares. And I hope that he turns it around. But he cares. I don't want people to be questioning if he cares or not. The other article was from Kevin Acee, and this was during this Phillies series, about why Manny has not been able to perform up to the level of expectation offensively. He has not been hitting those pitches that he should be smashing. And Acee brings up the example against Tyler McGill on Sunday, 96, belt high over the plate, right over the middle of the plate, and Manny fouls it back. 3 pitches later, fouled back. And that shouldn't be happening when it's Manny Machado. And Manny says, yeah, trust me, I'm feeling the same way, and I'm pissed at myself for missing those pitches. I learned not to show emotion. I've learned you've got to keep things in, except when the umpire calls a bad pitch on you. He's talking about when he got ejected. But I'm frustrated with missing those pitches. He threw me 2 pitches right down the middle, Machado said to McGill, and I freaking fouled them off. And I'm like, I don't know if it's the F word or the S word, but Acee writes, expletive. What the F? I don't even know how I'm missing those pitches. It's right there. It's right where I want it, right where I'm looking. And yeah, I can't connect with it. And then Acee goes into like Manny, and Manny's quotes are here. Manny, obviously, remember, he had the elbow surgery in October, didn't swing until mid-January. Ramp up, then there was the setback. He was only serving as the Padres DH, still feeling pain in the elbow late May. He was feeling better, starting to get in the groove. Then he has the hip flexor strain. So it's just like, it's kind of like the Xander thing, right? He was getting going, feeling better at the plate, and then boom, he gets hurt. Manny feeling better at the plate, boom, he gets hurt. Now, Manny's not on the IL, but it just sucks, the timing of it, right? And Manny says, I'm behind the 8 ball a little bit. I'm okay with it because I know where I'm going to be at the end of the day. But yeah, it's definitely not where I want to be. My swing is not there. My elbow is not letting me do the things I'm normally capable of doing. So I got to tweak things here and there. I've had to do a lot. I wish I could feel like I did last year or 2 years ago and feel that way. And obviously right now it's not. Remember, I want to point this out. Earlier in the year, Manny pretty much said, yeah, probably not going to get to 100% this year. Might have to be till next year. And if that's the case, then the Padres, they might be in trouble because Manny is such a big part of this team. I don't know. I don't know. Is he going to be able to find that slot? And that's what he mentions here. He can't find the slot to launch the ball on those pitches down the middle. He can't consistently find that slot to be able to fire and launch those balls on pitches that he should be launching. The elbow's not allowing him to do that. And if that's the case, then it's hard for me to sit here and, criticize Manny as hard as maybe other people would. I can criticize effort. I can say he should be better than what he's doing right now. He should be producing more than what he's doing right now. But if your elbow can't allow you to get into a certain slot to hit a baseball how you want to hit it and how you used to hit it, and you're trying to adjust, you're trying to find different things out, it's hard for me to just sit here and, bash Manny when he's trying to find a way to be better. He's obviously pissed off. And I'm going to read more of these quotes here. He is pissed off. He's tired of it. And he says here, I just can't get into my slot to launch the ball. You want to be able to get into your slot to drive the ball. I've had a pretty decent career on being able to be consistent with hitting the ball to right field and hitting the ball all over the place. But it's by being consistent with getting that back elbow in the right spot. My bat path is not where it needs to be right now. And so I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh man, he's eating McDonald's and he's not working on the bat path. The bat path. Like, no, he's working on it. He cares. He says here, I'm working in the batting cage before games. I'm trying to be consistent, trying to get that feeling, get that slot right. But once I step onto that field, it's about competing. You have your shot, you get your 2 pitches, you go for it. After that, it's like, okay, now what is the game calling for? I got runners on first and third here. I got to try to get this run in. Now you change your approach a little bit. You're not going for it anymore. It's the mentality of forget about what you worked on. You leave that in the cage. Now let's go out and compete. And this is 2 different things, but this popped in my head. Remember Bogarts, he was working on things, taking hundreds of swings in the cage, and then he'd go back to what he was doing. He'd revert back. And so maybe that's what Manny is doing here in some of these situations. In some of these don't try to go launch it situations, he's reverting back and can't get into that slot. Is that an issue? Can he get into the slot? Get that feeling when it's in launch situations and he just doesn't get enough of those pitches. But again, like we've seen it plenty this year where he's not hitting those pitches. He gets those opportunities to do it and he just can't get into that slot. It seems like it's the elbow that's not allowing him to get into that slot. Manny says, you're dealing with all these things, but then I got over that little hump. Then my legs got underneath me. My elbow started feeling better. I started getting into a better feeling. I started to swing better, started getting into the slot better, started feeling a lot better. And then boom, my hip gets messed up. Now it's back to the grind. So you can imagine you're feeling good. You're working all this time with your elbow and trying to get into a good feeling. And so that takes work out of you. That takes reps from you pregame. And then you get a hip injury, and now you got to do a lot of rehab and work pregame to get ready for a game. And so maybe that's less work that I'm assuming here, maybe it's less work that he's putting in, trying to get back into that slot or, just trying to maybe be on the field a little bit less because of that hip issue. And he wants to stay locked in. He says I think he talked about him wanting to be like still playing up top that level defensively. So he's still doing reps there. So maybe he needs to cut back a little bit on some of the work that he's doing. But if you're in that situation and you're trying to get out of it, it's probably hard for someone to sit there and say, Manny, do less work. But Manny says here, this was the last quote from this article from Kevin that's available on the UT, by the way, the UT website. Absolutely, I got to play. I'm assuming he says, I'm effing frustrated. I'm effing pissed. I can't get there. I do think I found it. I think we made a couple adjustments that got me in the right direction, but I just can't get there. I got to get there. It's effing frustrating. I know it's going to be there. I'm just too effing good. I have to figure it out. I will figure it out. Even if I blow my effing elbow out again, I will figure it out. So this quote right here, that's Manny. He's pissed off. He wants to win. He wants to be better. He feels like maybe he's going in the right direction, which is encouraging. But like he says here, I just can't get there. And so is that his elbow? Again, his elbow can't let him get there right now. And if that's the case, then yeah, it's going to be a long year still for Manny. And we're going to be in some trouble maybe if he physically can't get there. And this truly is a wait until 2025 year. That would suck. Because there's been a lot of weak contact that I've seen from Manny this year. And the elbow, it's a problem. No doubt it's a problem. But again, like the whole he doesn't care stuff, after reading this article, you're going to sit here and say that he doesn't care and you're still going to have that take. I hope you don't. I hope you don't. I know where that take comes from, right? Where he's not hustling all the time down the line. That's part of where that take probably comes from. And it's understandable. But I think he cares. He's not doing everything that the regular fan wants him. Like the regular fan wants him to play a certain way, and that's not how Manny's going to play all the time, if that makes sense. But he's frustrated. Now, him saying, I have to figure it out, I will figure it out, even if I blow my effing elbow out again. Come on, Manny. Let's not blow your elbow out again. I know you want to figure it out, but if you blow your elbow out again and you figured it out, guess what? It doesn't matter because you blew your elbow out, right? So it's tricky. I'm sure that he wants to do a lot of work, but is him doing a lot of pregame work? Is that benefiting him if he doesn't do as much? You still got to do work to try to get into that elbow slot, let's say, but is it harming him maybe he's doing too much work and save it for the game so that he is good, or at least as good as he can be health-wise for the game? That's just something that I would throw out there, but there's a lot smarter people than I am in that clubhouse probably, and the trainers and all that have probably brought that up. But when you're Manny and you're struggling offensively, it's probably hard to sit there and be like, yeah, I'm going to do less work and let's see if that ends up helping. That just doesn't feel like that's in the professional athlete's mind. That's just not what happens. I know in other areas of life, like if I was sucking at something and someone tries to say, just do it a little bit less and maybe you'll be better at it. I don't know. For me, I'm a repetition person. That just wouldn't work for me. Yeah, I'm gonna do it less and maybe it's gonna work. Maybe I'll be better at it by doing it less. I mean, come on. That just wouldn't really work. So that's the Manny situation right now. Hoping for the best, obviously. Hoping for the best. All right, John, I see he wants to come on the show. By the way, anyone that wants to come on, I probably should have said this earlier, my bad. Click that link that's pinned up at the top of the chat. If you want to know when I'm going live, you got to subscribe. Click that notification bell next to, I believe, Talking Friars, and you'll see it, and you'll get notifications for when videos go out, when I go live. But John, thanks so much, man. What's up?
Nothing much, man. Good to see that we squeezed out one of the 6. Hey, I was. It's good to see that we got a win, but at the same time, at what cost? We are still 2 games under 500 at this point, but it's good to know that all the other teams as well are losing and not figuring it out either. So it is what it is. I mean, people say that the Mets are red hot again, and they were back in it, even though they're 4 games under still. I believe. I don't know, but
yeah, and they're crediting it with that whole
Grimace
purple dude. Yeah, Grimace. Is that what it is?
Grimace. Yeah. The McDonald's mascot or whatever. Yeah. So it's one of those things, man. I mean, listen, I'm just happy that we squeezed out a win. And I mean, that Phillies team, we all knew they were tough. It is what it is. But yeah, I think with this whole Manny situation, I mean, it does suck. And I mean, I think that irregardless, I think there are those definitely people who just don't want to hear it from Manny. They don't want to hear any sort of, oh, I'm playing through this or I'm playing through that. I think I was watching, the Padres wrap-up show yesterday, and it seemed like Jim was very much unapologetic towards Manny, regardless of
shocker.
Yeah, shocker. You know what I mean? But it's I look at it this way. It's like, it's a tough job. I get it's a tough job. And, I understand the money is a lot of money and he should be performing or whatever, but I just don't buy the fact that he's not in it. You know what I mean? That he's just kind of like taking his check and everything like that. I look at 2022. I look at 2023. I look at these last few seasons. And I think his heart is in the right place in terms of not only wanting to be successful, but I think also just really kind of investing in the team, investing in the community, investing his his energy. He's really made it a home here, and so I don't know. I mean, obviously he's in an offensive slump. I think we really want Manny to slug rather than just get a single. I mean, he was 2 for 4 or 2 for 5 today, which is pretty good. I think any player would definitely take that, but yeah, with this whole Manny situation, it just sucks. You know what I mean? It just really, really sucks. And I wish that Tatis was, able to pick up the slack a little bit. But we all count on Manny. He's the big guy. At the end of the day.
Yeah, and last year, obviously, I think a lot of people were like, "Manny, shut it down. Go get the surgery. We're not going anywhere." And he didn't do it until they were, I think, officially eliminated, which was late, obviously, because they
Sure.
went on a run. And
20-7 in that September. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And
Crazy.
the question's going to come up from someone like, well, what if Manny would have gotten the surgery earlier? But what I would say to that is, well, it seems like he's going to be dealing with this the entire year. So him getting the surgery a month earlier, what would that do? He'd be good for October? I mean, he's still going to feel it all year is what it seems like. He's not going to be 100% till 2025. So I don't really know how big of a difference that would have made if he would have gotten the surgery earlier. I still had that viewpoint of go get the surgery because I knew they weren't going anywhere. But again, this is who Manny is. They're not officially eliminated, then he's not going to go on the IL. He's going to keep suiting up. And like he said in that article with Feinsand, like my 60, 70% is better than someone else's 100%. And that's just how he feels. And he could actually be accurate on that. But it's one thing if he was slugging and he just wasn't able to run with the hip flexor stuff, let's say. That would be one thing. But when he's not slugging either, that's where it becomes more of like a compounding problem too.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I mean, it definitely sucks that he's definitely not on pace for 30 home runs or something like that. He's definitely been lacking in that department. And again, we need them to hit those clutch doubles or triples or anything like that. I mean, he's out in the field, which is great. I mean, he's better than most players that we have on the team. But I think no one really could say no to Manny. Unfortunately, that's the unfortunate truth about it. Where Mike Shildt can't get in his face and say you need to be on the IL for about 15 days and just kind of nurse this thing a little bit, because I think the guy just wants to play first and foremost. I think he wants to earn his money and I think he wants to be out there in the field no matter what. And I think it's an unfortunate truth, but I think where this team stands currently, I think it's better to have him on the field in a way than it is to not have him on the field. I think at the end of the day, because now we just have Tatis out there who's the big guy, and then we are just literally doing a platoon squad of just Wade and Azokar and people just kind of rotating through. And so I think at the end of the day, we need Manny. Obviously, we need him to be 100%. We need him to be doing well, but we're kind of in this situation where injuries have just plagued us, and we need a guy who can at 60, 70% can still hit better than most guys. So it just seems to be the situation that we're kind of in as a team. And it just sucks. Just sucks in Padres land right now. But hey, we're only 2 games under 500. I mean, we could be completely out of it. We could have been 5 games under 500 after this whole thing. But we're still in it. All we need is a hot streak, right? That elusive fairy dust hot streak. That always seems to not get us, I guess.
Well, they got another tough series coming in with the Brewers, who are the best team in the NL Central, and then they've got the Nats, who are around the Padres range, a young team, obviously, who I think we can point out. Now, it's different. When people point this out and try to make it like as a negative towards AJ and all that, it's like, it's different circumstances. The Nats already had a World Series win, and they decided to, go into the rebuild, bunch of young talent, and now they're around the same spot that the Padres are in the standings. And the Padres don't have a World Series, and they've got these long contracts, and they traded a bunch of these prospects, and Soto's not on the team anymore. And so people that want to bring that up, while some of it, yeah, I mean, that's not great when you think about that. But when you consider the circumstances, it's way easier for the Nats to rebuild when they won the World Series in 2019. It is way easier than the Padres, who have been building for this. And this is supposed to be like the huge opportunity these years right now. And you had Seidler going all in, obviously, and you have these stars coming in. We're not going to tear this thing down this year. It's just different circumstances,
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, quite frankly, if you think about it, if we don't make it the postseason, I mean, I'm willing to put money down that AJ probably does get fired, because his time has definitely been come many, many times over. And if a new GM comes in, I mean, freaking most of the infield is going to be locked in and it's just like one of those things where you're kind of, in a way, you kind of have your hands tied in some respects. You know what I mean? 2/5 of your rotation is already locked up. And again, most of your infield is already locked up as well. So it's like, you kind of have very, very little wiggle room as a new GM coming to the Padres situation. And, unless you really want to do something crazy where, again, you want to sell off like some big contract or something like that, take on the money just to get rid of somebody like a Eric Hosmer, you know what I mean? You're still on the hook. You're still on the hook for that stuff. And so, and I also say that, the criticisms about Manny and everything like that, or just, about AJ or whatever, hindsight is 2020. Just saying. It is, I know fans, especially baseball fans and specifically Padre fans, love to point out the past mistakes that, people have done and whatnot. We could have done it this way or whatever. It's like, well, how are we supposed to know? At the beginning, when we wanted, was it when Manny said on Ben and Woods that he was going to go for free agency and stuff like that? What did the fan base do? We freaked out thinking of the possibility of Manny Machado in a different uniform. We wanted him back on our team, and thankfully the front office got their act together and they got it done before the season even started. So you know what? We were all cheering. We were all very, very happy that press conference day. So it's like, I just kind of get a little frustrated by this, oh, we shouldn't have done this or we should have done that or whatever. It's like hindsight's 2020, guys. We didn't know then, how were we supposed to know that Manny was going to, hurt his groin on the way to first base or whatever? We don't know that, It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, it's totally fair. Yeah. All right, John. Thanks, man. Is that a goals flag, by the way, in the background?
Heck yeah, it's a goals.
There we go.
I got goals fever, man. Yeah, absolutely. They suck right now, but yeah, you gotta rep them, It is what it is.
I like it. All right, man. Thanks, John.
Have a good one.
Appreciate it. You too. All right. Let's get to the chat. I do want to shout out some of the great partners of the show as well. Breaking Tea, they got Padres, Aztecs, and Wave shirts and sweatshirts. By the way, San Diego Wave, they play tonight against Gotham, 4 o'clock. So can't wait to be watching that. We'll see if they can get a road win, pick up 3 points after picking up a point against Washington over the weekend. Then they go to Houston before coming back home. Again, Breaking Tea, click the link in the description there. Underdog Fantasy, you'll get to claim special pick there when you use code Talking Friars or click the link in the description there. And you will get a 50% deposit match up to $250 with Underdog Fantasy. They've got a lot of pick'ems, Padres, all of Major League Baseball, WNBA, NBA when it was in season, NFL when it comes back, I think college football as well, soccer, tennis, golf. I mean, it's everything. It's a lot. So feel free to use that to your advantage. And same code for SeatGeek, Talking Friars, $20 off your first order there. All right. Going to the chat here. If there's anything that I have missed, feel free to put it in the chat. If you want to join the show again, reminder, click that link pinned up at the top of the chat. All right. Some and Substance says a huge win. Getting swept by the Phillies could have ruined our season. And it's one of those things, right, where you get swept. Okay, that's 3 games under 500 for a series. If you don't get swept and you take 1 of 3, all right, now you went 1-2, so that's 1 game under 500. There's a 2-game difference there. Instead of being 4 games under 500, the Padres are 2 games under 500. So it is a difference there. While you may feel like, well, 1-5 road trip, which, yeah, it sucks. I'm not going to say it was not. I'm not going to sit here and be like it was a good road trip. No, it sucked. But not getting swept, it is crucial. It is big. Yeah, big hit today from Higgy, John. That's for sure. He's earned the starting catching job. I mean, Campy last night gets hit in the nuts and then comes back and hits a homer. Like, what a tough guy he is. But Higgy's performing better. He throws out runners, some runners. Campy just doesn't do that this year. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I think it was like one runner that he's thrown out this year, or none even. I think one at least, but it's not at the level that Higgy's at. And it seems like all the pass balls happen, or wild pitches, or balls to the backstop happen when Campy is catching. Raymond says never going to make it to 500. I'm not sure about that. They've already made it to 500, but you're saying never make it back? I mean, they're 2 games under. It's not 5. It's close, but I think they can make it over 500 again this season at some point. Some are fighting for their jobs and others aren't. Does that explain anything? Is this about Manny? Like Manny's not fighting for his job? Or like Preller's fighting for his job? I don't know who you're referring to here with that. Yep, Rye Raps. Waldron definitely shoved today. Ricardo says Manny hasn't hustled since 2022. Did you watch today? Did you watch, was that Monday? Ricardo says, here's a thought. Rewind the clock to 2019 and you're the Padres organization. Do you go after Manny or Harper for the same price? Well, here's the problem. Manny signed with the Padres for $300 million. Harper signed with the Phillies for $330 million. There was a difference there. He had no opt-out with the Phillies, longer deal, more money, so you couldn't do that. Harper was not coming to the Padres for $300 million when he had $330 on the table from the Phillies. Now, if the Padres would have offered Harper $340 and just said no to Manny, that would have been interesting. Because they offered what? That much to Trey Turner. They offered what, $400, or they were willing to do that with Aaron Judge. If they were willing to do that with Bryce Harper, he might be a Padre right now. But let's remember, Seidler was not the majority, like the big guy at that point. It was still Ron Fowler. So we got to take that into consideration. But for anyone that knows me, knows that I'm a big Bryce Harper fan. I loved him when he was with the Washington Nationals. It sucks what he did to the Padres in the postseason. That I lost a little bit of love for Harper there, where for me now it's like I like Harper. But like I have no problem with him. I love the passion that he has for Philadelphia. I wish he was a Padre and he had that passion for the Padres. He got married in San Diego. He played for the San Diego Show in some tournaments, grew up in Vegas, or in the Vegas area. So he came down, played with San Diego a little bit. I think he was teammates. Was he teammates with Joe Musgrove a little bit for travel ball? Something like that. So I love Bryce. And I would have been the happiest person on the face of the earth if Harper would have signed with the Padres. But when Manny signed with the Padres, I was super happy when that happened too, because it was still Manny Machado. I wanted to get one of them, and they got one of them. You could make the case that the Padres would have been better off if they went with Harper, but again, they would have had to increase. Did they? I don't know if they made an offer to Harper. Manny went to the highest bidder, and it was the Padres over the White Sox. And Bryce went to the highest bidder, and it was the Phillies at $330 million. Harper, I think, said like he wanted to be in Philly. He wanted to be somewhere with no opt-outs, that they were committed to him and he wanted to start a family there. If the Padres were fully committed to Bryce, I think he would have been more than fine starting a family in San Diego as well. So it's something that we can rewind the clock with. Some will bring up, well, Bryce comes up in big situations and, all that. But, Manny's a heck of a player too. I'd love to have Bryce, but I'm not sitting here like pissed off that we have Manny Machado on the Padres. There's teams that would love to have Manny on the Padres or have Manny Machado be on their team. And I think, to be honest, that a lot of people that hate on Manny, they would be the ones that would be super happy if Manny signed with their team. It's like you hate on that player, but then if they're on your team, you love that player because you hate on that player because you're so sad that that player is just not on your team. I've done that before. Yeah, of course. Chris says, I would not have signed Manny even if Harper said no. Really? I think it's easy to say if you weren't in that spot. Adam asked, what did Arraez go for today? Arraez went 2 for 5, drove in a run. Yeah, Profar's been very consistent. Jay, he's been great this year. One of the best stories in the league this year, I think. Definitely Padres. I throw Merrill in there. I throw Waldron in there. Estrada in there. That's some of the better Padres stories this year. Hack says, I just joined, but if we're going to give Manny S for not running, that needs to get recognized today. Oh, I did. Yep, I recognized it. I posted a clip on social media. Yeah, I'm fair. NS says, Shildt got exposed by John Boy. He's soft. Okay, so that's something I did not point out today. So, yeah, there was the lip reading of Shildt and Manny's ejection the other day. John Boy posted, and it was Shildt acting. It was him going out there and saying, you have to throw me out, umpire. I'm here to, acting like I'm defending my player. And so when are you going to throw me out? That's what it was. I think he said, it's not your fault. It ain't your fault. You guys are doing a good job. That was a bad call, but you guys are doing a good job. I don't know if he said it's not fair, but yeah, like he was on the umpire's side, it felt like. And he was like, you got to throw me out. I'm ready when you are. And then he got thrown out, and then he acted like surprised, playing it off when the umpire threw him out. And no doubt Padres players had to have seen this from John Boy. Of course they've had. So I wonder how they feel about it. Do they like Shildt more for it? Do they like Shildt less for it because it's not like genuine being pissed off and getting in the umpire's face? And, it was an act. So I don't know how that was received in that building in the Padres clubhouse. It's better him going out there than him just sitting there and Manny gets tossed and no one goes out there. But I mean, yeah, I wish it would have been genuine that he was pissed off. I'm not saying he wasn't frustrated with them about to get swept, but I don't know. I guess that would have been an opportunity right there to just go off. Maybe the umpire didn't deserve it, although he did make some bad calls, but maybe the umpire, he's just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. My team's not playing well. You made a bad call there. We're about to get swept. I am pissed off, and I'm letting it out on you. I'm an event on you. Maybe that would have been a spot for it, but Shildt didn't do that. That was like the nicest ejection ever. Like, hey, can you throw me out? I'm coming out here. I need to get thrown out. I needed to look like here that I'm pissed off. I'm ready when you are. So, yeah. Good job from John Boy, though, doing that. He's better than I am at it. I've done it for some things where I can tell. I tried to do it a little bit with Manny, but I couldn't. He nails it. Like, I can't do it the entire way like he does sometimes. Crash 13 says, why do you deserve praise for doing your job? It's your job. That's true. But, and maybe you know people that like they feel like they need to be, they need to feel appreciated. Even if, yeah, they are just doing their job, they need to feel appreciated for them to feel happier or to feel happy. But so I understand you're talking about Manny, right? He's just doing his job by hustling. But what I could also say is, well, so if the Padres play well, we can't praise them. Don't praise them. Don't praise them when they're playing well. Don't do it because it's their job to play baseball. Don't praise them. Don't praise Tatis when he makes a good play. Don't praise Matt Waldron when he's pitching well. Don't praise Jeremiah Estrada when he strikes out 13 in a row. Don't praise Robert Suarez for pitching well. Like, don't praise anyone because it's their job. Like, I disagree with that too. So I do kind of understand the point, but I do kind of disagree there. No, Yuki, I would not be trading Robbie Snelling for Luis Severino. No. Feels like a ticking time bomb with Severino with an injury. Carlos asked, Ben, do you think Eggy Rosario should be called up? I'm going to say no because I am seeing Manny hustle, so I am seeing some positives here. Like maybe that hip flexor is starting to feel a little bit better. Solano, I'm fine with him being at the big league level. If Manny was ever to go on the IL, which he's not, then yeah, I'd call up Rosario. But no, right now I just leave it the way it is, and because like who are you sending down? You know, Tyler Wade, they love Tyler Wade. And I like what Wade brings to this team as well. So I wasn't as high on him as I am now, to be honest, with the more games that I've seen from him. But I just wonder, like, who are you sending down? You're not sending Solano down, Crony, Kim, Manny. Who am I forgetting? Wade. You're not sending those guys down. David Peralta is a lefty bat, which Eggy is not. He's an outfielder, which Eggy is the infielder, right? So I wouldn't do it. NS says, I'm not a Harper fan. Dude's a effing diva, in my opinion. I think you could say that more like earlier in his career. But now, it seems like I don't think you really call him that now. Chad says, or actually, hang on. Carlos says, John Boy has a team that helps him, so don't stress about it. No, he does the lip readings. He has a team, I think, that helps edit videos and set the videos up, but he does the lip readings. That's him being talented, like knowing what they're saying. So, no, props to him on that. And props to their team on getting the multiple video feeds, yeah. The home feed, the away feed, just to get angles. No, he does a good job. Chad says, Waldron is our legit ace. Never thought I'd say that, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it as long as, like, other guys step up, too. I don't want it to just be the Matt Waldron show and then Cease is giving up bombs and King is up and down. King's been pitching well. I don't want to make it seem like he's not now, but, like, he's been a little bit inconsistent this year. And if Musgrove and Darvish can't be frontline guys, then that's going to be an issue. But yeah, like him performing well, all for it. I'm advocating him for the All-Star game. And I don't know if I heard anyone, not to like, I'm not someone that's going to sit around and just pump up my takes because I don't feel like I have strong takes all the time. But this is one where I just like said one night, like, yeah, I think it'd be entertaining to have Matt Waldron be in the All-Star game. It's not like there's home field advantage on the line. Guys get hurt or they choose not to pitch. They still go, but they just choose not to pitch. Waldron, we'll see where it lines up, but it would be entertaining. It would add an entertainment aspect. Baseball fans would love, I think, seeing Matt Waldron pitch in the All-Star game. Maybe it's just me or just Padres fans that are biased. I don't know. NS says, your collab with John the other day was cool. Doing good work, Ben. 619, I think is what you're meaning to say there. But thank you. I appreciate that. All right. That's going to do it. Talking Friars episode 609, about an hour and a half here. Thank you all for the support, whether it's on YouTube, podcast platforms, social media. I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. Believe me, it means a lot. But thank you. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And I'll see y'all later.